If you are interested in personal development, you watch similar videos like this. You read books, maybe you attend sales seminars. You have probably noticed that most of sales advice are generally very similar. Some of them are very valuable, some are completely useless. But even if we took only the best one and put into practice, each of us will still achieve completely different results. In this video, we talk about why sales techniques fail so often and don't bring the expected results. My name is Pavel. I've been in sales for over 15 years. I built a network of contact and sales from scratch several times in my career in highly competitive European market for companies operating in the industrial sector. If you are looking for relevant information and advice, please subscribe and let's get started with our video topic. It's not rocket science, however, it's the most common mistake made by most salespeople. Usually the scenario looks like that. Someone for some reason wants or needs to learn the basic of sales. So he or she asks a friend for advice, buys a book, takes a quick course or look for information on the internet. But in return get nothing more than a handful of cold, hard facts and advice that mean nothing without the proper emotional background. In fact, they can do more harm than good as they often take away our authenticity, making us insensitive and point towards a pre-prepared scenario or script instead of mindset and non-verbal communication. When we meet someone for the first time, our senses subliminally start to work with increased attention and they try to detect every discrepancy between what someone says and what his body language shows and reflects, like face expression, tone of voice, every gesture and even the smallest micro signals over which people have no conscious control and cannot be faked and act. Why this happens is a completely different story. In short, it's a deeply rooted instinct that has allowed our human species to survive for thousands of years of evolution in often very hostile world where lurk many dangers. Most of us are probably aware of how the world looked like in the distant past. For example, in the Middle Ages, where there was no law, or even if it was, its enforcement was highly questionable and death accompanied men at every step and lurked around every corner. Today, our instincts helps us survive in a world that is significantly different, but still helps us to avoid many unpleasant situations, which may not directly affect our lives anymore, but for instance, keep us from having bad relationships with untrustworthy partners who could contribute to the loss of our hard-earned money, or cause problems like lose our job in the case of making decisions that could have a negative impact on our work or business. We often don't know why someone commands respect, inspire trust, cause resentment or even anger. People used to call it intuition, but it's exactly a transfer of emotions that everyone subconsciously feels. Sales techniques are merely an instrument and are worth nothing if are not supported by the right mindset. If you feel insecure or fear of rejection, as I used to feel when I started, your prospects will sense it too and therefore subconsciously hesitate. They feel that insecurity and that doesn't build a good first impression. But of course, no one will tell you that directly and most likely you will hear instead, what you offer is too expensive, I can't afford it. Sorry, I'm not interested, it's not for me, or I don't have time now, please call me later, next week. And it never comes out. I know exactly because I've experienced it many times before. As I wasn't a born salesman, sales was for me a huge challenge, a big struggle with my inner self-doubts, insecurities and limiting beliefs. Before every new meeting with a new prospect, I was creating crazy and bizarre scenarios in my head. Sentence by sentence, I tried to predict what my prospect may say or what objection may he has. It was crazy, but I learned that work in sales requires being sensitive and building the appropriate emotional state. Not so much the client, but above all, our own. An often used metaphor to illustrate this phenomenon is an iceberg, a great mountain of ice floating on the sea. What we can see is only the top. 80% of the mouth of the ice block is underwater. So the iceberg doesn't flow where the winds blow, but where underwater currents push it. In sales, what is not visible and constitute 80% is our emotional state, energy that we radiate, so-called vibe, sensed intuitively by your prospect. Everything else is just a general frame that doesn't mean much in itself. Nonetheless, don't get me wrong, it doesn't mean that you can't talk nonsense. Use your common sense as well. The point is that most of what we hear about sales are just the basic principles, and what is often forgotten and overlooked but really matters is managing our emotional state. Always try to put yourself in someone else's shoes and remember that sales is first of all transfer of emotions. What you feel feels the person you are talking to, no matter if it's a face-to-face meeting or a phone call conversation. So if you are relaxed and have an easygoing attitude, everyone around will sense it. You are more likely to make a good first impression, and the prospect most likely will open up to you and take over your positive attitude. Don't count on that even the most thoughtful and logical script or question will do the job without a proper inner game. Everyone who has been active in sales for a long time and achieved above average results is either aware of it or intuitively knows how to manage his emotional state. Sales techniques and sales advice can be found everywhere, but how to deal with yourself is a completely different story. However, when you master that skill, the reward will be greater than you can imagine. A state in which you not only feel great, but also others will notice that transition. And most important, they will not be able to resist you. You will gain charisma and magnetism that will change everything you have experienced so far, and the results will follow. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you very much for watching, and see you soon.